The air smelled different. I can't explain it any other way. As I stepped out of room 214, if it even was the same room anymore, the world outside was softer, warmer, the colors less saturated yet somehow more vivid, like an old Technicolor film where the blues were deeper and the golds had a sunlit hum. The hallway had transformed. Gone were the worn carpets, the peeling floral wallpaper. Instead, it was immaculate, freshly patterned with rich damask, edges crisp. The sconces along the walls glowed not with LED, but with the gentle flicker of real incandescent bulbs. I stood frozen, fingers curling around the brass doorknob behind me. No tourists, no faded history, just the living present of another era. From below, the distant melody of a piano floated upward, faint at first, like a memory, but growing clearer with each chord. It wasn't recorded, it was being played. Now here. My body moved before my thoughts caught up. I descended the grand staircase, fingers grazing the polished wooden banister that gleamed like it had just been varnished. The lobby was alive. Bellboys in pressed uniforms scurried past with leather suitcases. A woman in a wide sun hat laughed as she signed a check-in card. The air was tinged with the scent of fresh lilacs mixed with tobacco and a hint of perfume. No cell phones, no screens, no sounds of the modern world. Only voices, music, footsteps, real life in 1955. I crossed the marble foyer toward the lounge, drawn by the piano like a moth pulled by gravity, not flame. As I approached the entrance, I slowed. There he was, seated at the piano, framed by the glow of amber wall lamps and sunlight pouring through the tall bay windows, sat Charles. His back was straight, hands graceful but certain over the keys. He wore a neatly pressed brown suit, a soft cream shirt underneath, open at the collar, not stiff, but effortlessly elegant. His shoes shone like someone who cared about the little things. But it wasn't his clothes that caught me. It was his face. Soft lines carved by thoughtfulness rather than age. Hair slightly tousled, as though he'd been running his fingers through it between songs. And his eyes, warm, deep, carrying a quiet melancholy. The kind of eyes that look like they're searching for someone even when they don't realize it. And in that moment, before he saw me, I felt everything at once. The fear, the wonder, the impossible beauty of it all. I was standing outside the frame of a photograph that hadn't yet been taken. I was breathing inside the melody that had only existed on an old recording. Until now. The notes slowed. His fingers hesitated on a chord. A pause. As though something, an instinct, a pull, told him he was being watched. He looked up. His eyes met mine. For a moment, the world ceased to exist. The music faded. The voices around us dissolved. There was only him and me, and the recognition that passed between us, like the echo of something we both had always known. His gaze didn't waver, not for a second, as though he'd been expecting someone to arrive, not just any someone, but me. As though I had simply been running late for a meeting we'd set long before either of us were born. The room around us carried on. Waiters passed with trays of champagne, couples laughed softly over linen-draped tables, and the piano notes hung unfinished in the air, waiting. But we were in our own sphere now, timeless, bound by something neither of us could yet name. His fingers slipped gently off the keys. He stood, slow, deliberate, smoothing his jacket with both hands, like it was a reflex for when something important was about to happen. I realized, somewhere far beneath the hum of disbelief, that I had no idea what to say. Every carefully rehearsed thought, The academic explanations, the questions about the melody, the clever observations, all vanished into thin air. My lips parted, but nothing came out. He made the first move. A few measured steps brought him to the lounge threshold. He stood there, barely a foot away, the scent of old paper, warm linen, and the faintest trace of piano polish clinging to him.
Pardon me,
He said softly, voice richer, smoother than I could have imagined.
Forgive me, but have we met?
His brows drew together, not suspicion, not even confusion. It was the look someone gives when searching for a memory that's trying to surface but won't. I swallowed, breath shaky. I don't know, I managed. It feels like maybe we have. It wasn't a lie, not even close. A soft smile tugged at the corner of his mouth.
I thought so too. That's rather strange, isn't it?
I nodded. Strange, but not unpleasant. He laughed then, a warm, quiet sound, shy but genuine.
Not unpleasant at all.
For a beat, we both stood there, like two actors waiting for the other to deliver the next line neither had prepared. His eyes flicked down, noticing the dress I wore. His expression shifted, just a fraction, softening. His brow relaxed, and his gaze lingered as though something about the sight was familiar. A tiny crease formed at the corner of his lips. Thoughtful, almost a question, but not voiced.
You must be staying here.
He finally said. I nodded, fingers nervously brushing the side seam of my dress. Yes, I just arrived yesterday.
Ah,
He breathed.
then fate is kind.
The words hit me harder than he could possibly know. Before I could respond, he glanced toward the piano.
I should finish my set, but
He hesitated, thumb brushing his cuff.
would you perhaps stay? Just for a little while?
I smiled, nervous but sincere. I'd like that. His shoulders relaxed, just a touch, like he hadn't realized he'd been holding tension until that moment. Charles stepped back toward the piano. As his fingers found their place on the keys again, he glanced at me one last time, almost as if to confirm I was still real. Then he began to play. Not the haunting melody I had heard in the museum, but something lighter, sweeter. A waltz with gentle optimism curling through its phrases, like sunlight filtering through leaves. And all I could think was, this moment, right now, is the very beginning of everything I have ever waited for. I sat near the piano, close enough to hear the subtle slide of his fingers on the keys, far enough to pretend I was just another guest enjoying the music. But I wasn't. Neither was he. I could tell. His hands moved with elegance but not showmanship. There was no pretense, no performance for applause. His playing was intimate, like a secret he was confessing in plain sight, layered within every chord. I caught him glancing at me between phrases. Not overtly. Just a flick of the eyes, the smallest tilt of his head, as though making sure I hadn't vanished. As though part of him wondered whether I was real, or whether he had conjured me from some stubborn corner of his own imagination. It made my breath catch every time. The melody rose, soft, sweeping, warm. Not grand, but impossibly tender. The kind of tune that wasn't written, but simply found. And it hit me then. This waltz. This exact waltz. It was the one I'd heard in the museum, on that fragile, unnamed recording, the one that started everything. Only this wasn't static-filled or distant. It was alive. Fresh. As though the universe had hit play on a moment lost to time and set it right in front of me. My hands tightened on my skirt. It hadn't been a coincidence, that melody finding me. It was this moment, this very room, this man. The realization was dizzying. When the last note drifted into silence, the applause from the other guests was polite but sparse. No one really paying full attention except me. Charles didn't seem to mind. He closed the piano lid with a gentle touch, stood and smoothed his hands over the front of his jacket before walking directly, unquestionably, back to me. His smile was a little wider this time, less tentative, less wondering whether he was imagining things.
Thank you.
He said, voice quieter now. Not to the room, to me. For the music? I asked, matching his softness.
Well,
He looked away briefly, gathering words, then met my gaze again with something deeper.
for being here. I don't know why, but it feels as though you were meant to arrive today.
I swallowed, pulse fluttering wildly in my throat. I think you're right. A pause. A long one. Gentle. Comfortable.
Would you... maybe?
He hesitated, something endearingly shy about him now.
Would you take a walk with me by the lake? It's cooler now and it's quieter.
A quick smile.
I'd like to know who you are.
My heart squeezed. Yes, I whispered. I'd like that very much. As we stepped out of the lounge together, through the wide double doors and onto the stone path that led toward the lake, the night air wrapped around us. Cool, crisp. The water reflected the last violet streaks of sunset. I glanced sideways at him. Somewhere in the folds of time, something had waited for this exact moment to happen.